Hey friends, or as I like to call you guys, the chupacabras. Ash here, welcome back to Gents. It's actually not a thing, I don't actually call anybody that, but now I will. As of when I'm filming this video, we are heading full force, full steam ahead into the holiday season. And you may be asking yourself, what is literally everybody in the US buying right now? What are they wearing? Or to be fair, you may not be asking yourself that, but you're about to find out anyway. Because I have in my grasp the top 30 best-selling men's fragrances through the first half of this year, and I'm gonna share that with you. Typically, this info is kept lock and key with the fragrance houses and flavoring houses. This is not information pulled from just Macy's or Sephora. These are the real deal rankings. Now, a couple of caveats. As I said, this is US specific, and it's for the first half of 2025. I did do the entirety of 2024. That video is already out. Feel free to check it out. Top 30 best-selling fragrances, something like that. And this list is quite different, so you can see what changed in such a small period of time from the end of 2024 through the beginning of 2025 and then the end of June. Ho, ho, ho. All of these are gonna be linked down below. Feel free to check them out down there. Number 30, Le Male Parfum, which I'm not gonna do this with every single fragrance, but this one actually fell a little bit. It was like 24, I believe. And by that, I mean in 2024, it was the number 24 best-selling men's fragrance, but has dropped to 30th through the first half of this year. Still, it's extremely popular, but not as popular as this, Polo 67. This one keeps getting more popular, and in actuality, this is the most popular men's fragrance by Ralph Lauren in the US right now. Because one thing that you'll notice is that after years and years and years and just a lot of years, Polo Blue has fallen out of the top 30, making Polo 67 the most successful best-selling fragrance from the brand. Now that being said, I'm really interested to see what the full year's rankings are gonna look like when they come out next year, because I wanna see if the new Ralph's Club bumps that up into a top 30. Ralph's Club New York, I mean. Because I feel like that one's done pretty well. I don't know that it's done better than Polo 67, but we'll see. Number 28 most popular fragrance for men right now in the US, Versace Man Eau Fraiche. This one has been a consistent top 30 bestseller ever since it came out. A lot of people will kind of overlook this and think that its day is past, but no, this stuff still sells a ton of bottles. Now, they did come out with a new flanker for this one, Man Eau Fraiche Extreme, but yeah, I don't see that one outpacing this one as far as sales goes anytime soon, or technically ever. Yeah, I don't see that. Number 27 is Dolce & Gabbana's The One. This is a fragrance that was actually outside the top 30 for quite a while and is now back up inside there. Yeah, that's good. Back up inside there. I love Dolce & Gabbana's The One, and actually I got a little news, which it's not confirmed or anything, so take this with a grain of salt, a large one, but somebody who is in the know told me that this coming year there's gonna be a new The One. So again, we'll have to wait and see, but if that does turn out to be the case, I'm about that. Don't screw this up, Dolce & Gabbana. And interestingly enough, after that, Millesime Imperial by Creed. This was not in the top 30 for last year, for 2024, but through the first half of 2025, it is a top 30 bestseller. And this one right here has always interested me because when it comes to Creed, everybody knows Aventus. That's the bestseller for men. But I always thought, before I got the actual data over the past few years, that number 2 was probably something like Green Irish Tweed, maybe Silver Mountain Water, Virgin Island Water, or something like that. But no, it is Millesime Imperial, at least in the US. Now, before we hit to the next fragrance, I'm gonna give you guys some fragrances that actually have dropped in popularity year over year. But before that, I wanna give you a whole bunch of codes that you can use to save yourself money. And here they are. Codes for JOMASHOP, Gift Express, Fragrance Lord, and many other stores. So anytime you shop at any of these places, use those codes. All right, the first fragrance that had a year over year hefty drop, 1 Million Royal, which has dropped very heavily, actually. This fragrance now ranking down in the 50s, when through the first half of 2024, it was right in like the bottom half of the top 30. So 1 Million Royal year over year is dropping quick, but that's not the only one. Phantom by Rabanne has been dropping quite a lot and continues to do so. At least in the US, it's losing popularity pretty quickly. And then 1 Million Lucky, sadly, also dropping. And those three right there are three of the biggest droppers year over year through the first half of 2025. Now for the entirety of 2024, 1 Million Lucky didn't actually make the top 30, but through the first half of 2024, it was right there. It was like 29th or something. It was like right toward the bottom, but it fell out over the course of the year, and that drop has continued through the first half of this year. The next fragrance is the most wanted Eau de Toilette Intense, which this was a big surprise for me to see it as a bestseller at the end of 2024. Well, not a bestseller, but a top 30 bestseller. It was a surprise. Because that might not sound huge to you, top 30, but when you really think about it, how many different fragrances are available right now? To be a top 30 bestseller means you are crushing it. And we'll see how this shakes out when we get the full year's sales rankings. But for the end of 2024, this one was actually up a little bit higher. So first half of 2025, it is down a little bit, but still doing really well. After that, Acqua di Gio Profondo. Now I've explained this in every video, but I'll explain it again. If a fragrance has a different concentration, but the name stays the same, they count that as one entry. So what I mean by that is with Acqua di Gio Profondo, there's the Eau de Toilette, there's the Eau de Parfum, there's the Parfum. All of the sales for those three fragrances will be counted as just Acqua di Gio Profondo as far as the sales rankings go. But if it has a different flanker name, for example, if it was Acqua di Gio Profondo Absolu, they would count that as its own separate entry, and those sales would not count. So another example, Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, Parfum, all count as just Sauvage. But Sauvage Elixir, its own separate thing. I know it's kind of confusing, but that's how they do it. After that, a new entry, Extra Dose, Valentino Uomo, born in Roma. Doing fantastic in terms of sales, super popular, amazing performance. This line continues to get more and more successful. Invictus after that, of course, Paco Rabanne came out with Invictus Parfum, which is going to count sales-wise towards this one, which definitely helped pump that one up and move it up the rankings. That is followed by Stronger With You Intensely. Now in the previous iteration of this, the 2024 sales, Stronger With You Intensely was not in the top 30. And yet here it is firmly ahead of all of these through the first half of this year. The reason for that is Stronger With You Intensely was actually not that easy to find in the US, at least at full retail. And they rolled it out in a really big way, which is why you now see it up here. And it would not surprise me at all if after the year is up, 2025, this one is even higher still. For now though, this is where it sits. After that, 1 Million Elixir, which is pretty much in line with where it was at the end of 2024 as well. So 1 Million Elixir, pretty consistent, sitting right around here, around 20th or so. Really sweet, lots of vanilla in there, big compliment puller, great performance. And at least outside of the original 1 Million, this is the most successful 1 Million fragrance in the United States over the past number of years. Coming in at 19th is Armani Code. Obviously still very successful, but you do have to take into account that this has the sales the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, and the Parfum included here. I mean, still, I'm sure nobody's gonna complain about having a top 20 best-selling fragrance or anything like that, but do take that into account, because that would mean in comparison to, say, Stronger With You Intensely, this is maybe not quite as successful on a per fragrance basis as this is. So you do have to think about that a little bit, because this is just the fragrance by itself, right? It's Stronger With You Intensely. This one is Code, EDT, EDP, and Parfum. So if you were counting, say, just the Parfum sales or just the Eau de Toilette sales, probably be down here somewhere. But still, many years later, still very successful. Number 18 is Bad Boy Cobalt by Carolina Herrera. It finished last year at 23rd. Through the first half of this year, 18th is where it's at. So it looks like it's probably gonna finish in a similar range, maybe up a little bit year over year, we'll have to see. And this is the most popular fragrance in the US from Carolina Herrera, Bad Boy Cobalt. You would think the original would be somewhere up here, but it's not. It doesn't make the top 30. In 17th, the original 1 million, which seems low, but that's where it is. And it has in the US been dropping ever so slightly year over year. So now just outside the top 15. Number 16 is Le Male Elixir by Jean Paul Gaultier. So in the US, it's very clear that between Le Parfum and Elixir, Elixir outsells Le Parfum, though this is a little drop year over year. So this one finished just outside the top 10 in 2024. And through the first half of 2025, it's just outside the top 15. Now that being said, this one could jump up a whole lot because a bunch of people could end up buying this one, or also some of these other ones that are a little warmer, deeper, richer through this holiday season and pump those numbers up. But right now, that is where it's sitting. And I wanna hear from you guys also, fragrances that were released, say, middle of the year through now, what do you think has a potential to crack into this top 30. Because obviously if something was released in April or May or June or July or August, it's not going to be in the top 30 bestsellers through the end of June, right? Just doesn't have enough time to rack up sales. I could see something like Prada Paradigm breaking into the top 30. That wouldn't surprise me. Maybe Myself Absolute, something like that. I could see that easily cracking the top 30. But let me know what you guys think. And one more thing, this is value, not volume. So what I mean by that is these are the rankings according to the dollar amount sold, not the number of bottles sold. So that means Millesime Imperial did not outsell Versace Man Eau Fraiche as far as how many bottles of each were sold. It's just this one is way, way more expensive. So for each bottle sold of this, it counts for like 3 of this, or 4, or depending on where you're shopping, more than that. Coming in at number 15, Coach for Men. This stuff is crazy popular in the US, way more so than a lot of people realize. And that is actually up year over year. Now, part of the reason, gonna be that new Coach release. This one right here, Coach Eau de Parfum, so any sales of this will count towards this. And then number 14 is Gucci Guilty, once again in that top 15 spot, though that is down year over year. And part of the reason is it doesn't have other Guilty flankers to kind of pump those numbers up as much anymore. There is a Guilty Parfum, there is a Guilty Eau de Parfum, but those have been out for a while. They're not new, so they're not really adding anything to it at this point, at least as far as like a sudden influx of sales is what I mean. And those ones didn't hit in as big of a way, so it's mainly this one kind of carrying the load as far as Gucci Guilty goes. Guilty Black, which is now known as Guilty Essence, used to be a top 30 bestseller in the US, but it has since fallen off. Now a couple of other fragrances that have fallen out of the top 30 through the first half of the year. Luna Rossa Ocean. So that is Prada's best-selling fragrance, or at least it has been Prada's best-selling fragrance, and it is now officially out of the top 30 through the first half of this year. Technically just right outside the top 30, but still. And then the original Le Male, that one through the first half of last year was right at number 30, but it has fallen off and now it's down in like the mid 40s. Next up is Valentino Uomo Born in Roma, the original. So that means we've got Extra Dose down here, we've got the original one right up here, which has kind of a similarity to Invictus right here. And this is another one that year over year through the first half of the year has fallen down just a little bit. Still super wearable, extremely versatile, people like it a lot, so expect to see it as a top 30 bestseller in the US for a long time. After that, Burberry's Hero, which is going to include the Eau de Toilette, Eau de Parfum, and the Parfum, and that is slightly down in actuality. Still doing well, but it is outside of the top 10, whereas at the end of last year, it was number 7, I think. And with this, the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum are gonna be the ones really pushing that sales number forward. Number 11 is Aventus by Creed, just outside the top 10. And that's kind of where this one hangs out. It's like between 11 and 15, basically year over year, it hangs out right around there. Again, going back to what I spoke about before, it is value-based, not volume-based. So this one being as expensive as it is, that's one of the reasons it's up here. But as far as niche fragrances goes, this stuff crushes. Easily the top selling men's niche fragrance in the world. It's not close. We are in the top 10 and coming in at number 10, Born in Roma Intense. So that is the third Valentino Uomo Born in Roma in the top 30 best-selling men's fragrances in the US. They have a full 10% of the list. And whereas Born in Roma, the original, slipped down a little bit year over year, this one moved up, making Born in Roma Intense the most popular flanker, most popular fragrance in the Born in Roma lineup in the US. Unfortunately, Coral Fantasy, Yellow Dream, Green Stravaganza, none of those cracked the top 30. Number 9 is Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana, which this one has actually gone up year over year. So this new version, this new look and everything, doing better as far as sales goes. It is the best-selling Dolce & Gabbana fragrance for men, and it's not close. There's no K in the top 30 right now. The 1 is doing a lot better, but you know, it's way further down the list compared to this one. And none of the Light Blue flankers are even close to the top 30, unfortunately. Number 8, Sauvage Elixir, which this one finished last year in 9th place. So this is kind of where it hangs out right now, right there at the like entry to the top 10. It is though quite expensive, so that is gonna help it move up the list a little bit higher compared to the number of bottles sold, so keep that in mind. Number 7 is Myself Le Parfum. Now this is how crazy popular Myself is. This finished 2024 in, I think, 24th place actually. And it was new for last year. So it didn't have the entire year of sales, but it still finished in 24th place, which is what I was talking about earlier. You know, fragrances that are released, say April, May, June, something like that, they don't have the full year to stack up sales, so it's harder for them to crack into the top 30. With this one being available everywhere through the first half of this year, it is now number 7. To really just drive home how popular the Myself lineup is. Basically everything they've released, which to be fair is only 3 fragrances, has seemed to just crush right out of the gate. Number 6, Aqua de Jo, once again. So the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, and the Parfum. It's one of the best-selling men's fragrances of all time. Everybody knows that stuff. It's gonna be around for basically ever, it seems like, but I'm okay with that because I love the stuff. Number 5 now, Eros by Versace, which this actually moved up into 3rd place through the end of 2024, but through the first half of this year has slid back just a little bit into 5th place. Still though, if you're looking for a fragrance that everybody owns, everybody loves, everybody's wearing, Eros, one of the most popular, period. Number 4 is Myself by Yves Saint Laurent, the Eau de Parfum, which means it has moved up yet another spot. Through the end of last year, it was 5th. Now, through the first half of this year, it is 4th. If you took Myself Eau de Parfum and Myself Le Parfum and put those sales numbers together, probably looking at a top 3 fragrance. Don't know if it would go higher than that, but it's possible. But at number 3 for now is Y, also by YSL. And this one has jumped back up the rankings. It finished in 6th place at the end of last year, but now back up here to 3rd. And it used to be that Y Le Parfum was a top 30 bestseller, the all black bottle, the original one, but that got reformulated, it got changed, and the new version obviously not here in the top 30. And then number 2 and number 1, Bleu de Chanel at 2, Sauvage at 1. Essentially some same as it ever was type stuff. But just a small tidbit of information for you, because you might look at that and say, well, those 2 are gonna be the top 2 bestsellers. Always, apparently. Maybe not, actually. Through the first half of the year, both of those fragrance lines saw double-digit percentage drops as far as sales. Obviously, they're not going anywhere anytime soon, so I'm not saying that they are. They're gonna be here for a long time. They're extremely popular. People love them. They crush as far as performance, versatility, compliment factor, wearability, everything that most people want. These are like the 2 easiest to wear fragrances in existence, just about. But both of them did drop double-digit percentages as far as sales goes, and I don't have to tell you, that's a lot of money. And Y by YSL almost had double-digit sales increases year over year. Myself had a small increase year over year. And surprisingly enough, Light Blue had a huge percentage increase year over year. And you may be thinking, well, which one out of all of these had the biggest increase year over year? Coach. But that's probably because of the Eau de Parfum, but it was Coach for men. There we go, guys. There's the information. Do with that what you will. These are the top 30 most popular best-selling fragrances in the country, in the US, period, through the first half of this year. And that is, as of now, where the data cuts off until the end of this year, and then hopefully the full year will come out sometime early next year. Let me know what you think will change. Let me know what new fragrances might be able to compete with these. But if you want to know the best things to buy, if you're looking for the safest stuff, the stuff that everyone loves, these. Because honestly, you can run through this entire lineup. There is pretty much nothing here that your average person is going to smell and be like, well, all easy wearing stuff. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me here until the end. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.